Aloha! Welcome to CM400C Introduction to User Centered Design. So, what is User Centered Design or UCD? So, this is defined in your textbook, Interactive Design. So, make sure you keep up with the course reading. User Centered Design or UCD is a design philosophy that puts the user of a product, application, or experience at the center of the design process. So in this course, um, we're going to do a lot of course work around figuring out how to hone in on the primary user of the application that you are going to come up with, the idea you're going to come up with, and eventually you're going to build a prototype at the end of the semester. And we are going to be applying the user-centered design to get you through that process. So, what are the ingredients of UCD, right? Like, how do we get there? So, we need to identify the problem that the user has. Then we can determine how we're going to solve the user's problem through the app goal, right? So, there's a goal that the application is going to have. From the app goal, we can derive the app functions or what the app can do for the user. We always want to start with the user, the primary users. In some cases, it's always good to identify a secondary user. We want to figure out what their pain points are, like what is giving them trouble, and what are the gains. So if the user uses your application, like what are the gains? What do they gain from using your mobile app? What do they gain from implementing the solution that your mobile app provides? And then, of course, we want to determine what their needs are. User centered design guides its users. So, once you guys have your idea, you've identified your user, we're going to start learning a lot about the human interface guidelines, the UI elements, which are part of the human interface guidelines. So, we're going to learn about the controls, the views, the bars. You guys are going to be implementing mobile design patterns. So, correctly configuring your user interfaces are really important because people understand conventional design, right? So, there are patterns that you guys are going to utilize to build out your user interfaces, and I call those mobile design patterns. User-centered design is interactive, right? So you're going to have UI elements that users interact with to work through the entire app flow. Um, your your application has to provide a solution. So keep that in mind when you're developing your goal, your functions. You're providing a solution for a specific customer. And then, of course, user centered design guides users through a clear pathway. And we're going to learn that when you guys are wireframing. And then, once again, we're going to take that to the next level when you guys are working on your app prototypes. So, user design eliminates user pains. So, remember that we seek out applications, we seek out solutions that are going to eliminate pain for us. So if you want to think about it as like, how does your solution make my life easier? And when it comes to user interface design, you're going to use things like affordance or visual cues in the design of your user interface to signal or communicate to the user like, hey, interact with this UI element, and that'll advance you to the next screen in the app flow. User-centered design provides gains. So you are providing a solution to a problem through the mobile app that you come up with in this course. So always keep that in mind. And creating a mobile app, that's everything that we're going to do around in this class. We're going to study other mobile apps. We're going to identify their problem statements. So get used to communicating. First, we're going to right, this course is built on communicating through words. Like, I'm going to ask you guys to state problems, to state solutions, to state app functionality in words. Because once you have these ideas committed on paper, in words, it's much easier to then start taking that to the wireframing stage, or like a low fidelity sketch on a piece of paper. And of course, keep in mind that we're always solving a problem. And like I said, we're going to identify the user pains. So let's think about online shopping, because I know all of us have done a lot of online shopping. We probably all have a bit of experience here. What are some pain points? So I was thinking about my own pain points. Users don't have the time to shop around. Users don't want to shop in person. Users don't have the time, right? So these are like pains. I don't have time. I don't want to shop in person. I don't want to pay for shipping, right? So these are some of my pains. And I don't have a lot of extra income. So those are my pains as a user. These are some of my pains. And so from the user pains, you can derive the user needs or come up with the user needs. So let's look at Amazon. Everybody knows about the Amazon app, right? What user needs are solved by using the Amazon app. So we talked a little bit about some user pain, like that's a brainstorm I came up with. And then these are some of the user needs, right? So your pains correlate to your needs. So user needs to make a purchase right away, right? And sometimes if I have to go to a store in person, I don't necessarily get to make that purchase right away. I need an easy, right? I need an easy way to shop for multiple kinds of goods. So users really like things to be easy. Users like to save time. So when you guys are coming up with your user statements, these are really good things to keep in mind. Users need cheaper prices. Sometimes perhaps Amazon offers that. User needs free shipping. So I know a lot of people look for free shipping when it comes to online shopping. And so what is the problem? And so when you guys are studying these different apps, and we are going to talk about Amazon or study Amazon in one of our assignments, the Amazon app so you guys will, right, going through the experience, you'll have to come up, we're going to be practicing to come up with the problem statement. The Amazon app solves the problem of purchasing different types of goods and services that is hassle-free, allows users to easily manage and track their orders while also providing free and fast shipping. So I want you guys to be very specific in your problem statement. The more specific you are, and then it's much easier to be very specific in your app goal, right? So this is the problem. And then after this, following this, then you can build upon the goal. Exactly what I said. Take your problem statement and create your app goals. So how do you identify an app goal? What are the questions you should be asking yourself as you're writing, committing this idea, committing this goal statement to paper? What does the app enable users to accomplish? So like brainstorm, use sticky notes, brainstorm on a piece of paper. What problem does the app solve, right? So we talked about that. What user needs are met. So you want to take all of that information, all of that research, that brainstorm that you did, and then you want to figure out, you want to hone in on that app goal. You can't. So another thing too is what you want to stay away from is trying to do everything. Maybe you just focus on one or two things that you're going to do really well, or you're going to promise your users that you're going to do really well in the app that you create. Identify and stating app functions. So now this is what can the user do when using the app? So what can the user accomplish, right? So there might be like specific functions within the app. So there's an overarching goal, and then those functions should align with the goal. And if they don't align with the goal, then maybe you need to think again about what is the goal of your application. And then use the key phrase. You guys are going to see this a lot. Users can ... So it's just really easy to kind of just say like, what can users do with the app? And we're going to take that user can statement, and then we're going to turn that into an app flow, right? So we're going to say like, users can add items to their cart, search and add items to their cart, and make a purchase, right? So that's an app function. Basically, users can shop using the app. And so in your wireframe, you're going to attempt, that's the first time you're going to attempt to create that app flow through a series of user interfaces. So in closing, right, remember guys, that getting back to user-centered design means it's all about the user, okay? And if you have experience in product development and or working with clients, they're really interested in focusing in on their specific user and not getting lost in like, oh, I want to do this for this person and I want to do that for this person. It's a very specific process. How are we going to do this? Like, what is the process that you guys are going to go through in this class? We're going to study other apps that implement UCD. Okay, so we're going to get kind of good at identifying and explaining and communicating how these applications are implementing UCD in the design of their application. We're going to identify the problem and the specific user it belongs to. So when we're studying, we're gonna like state like, the problem that this app seeks to solve is X, and I want you guys to just practice stating that information. And then we're going to determine what the solution is. We're going to explain it in words and writing what the solution is. Then we're going to communicate those ideas, right? And we're going to write those ideas down. And that's the sort of initial process, that's scoping and understanding the concept of your own idea. Like, I'm going to ask you guys like very specific questions, and we're going to iterate on the ideas that you come up with. Then we're going to move into the mobile design process, right? So you guys are going to go from ideation, which is like really brainstorming, writing, coming up with your statements, coming up with at least a picture or a sense of who your designer or who your user is, sorry. And then we're going to, then we move into wireframing, visual design, and app prototyping. And app prototyping is where you guys are going to sort of end in this class. And so just the big takeaway here is that we're gonna learn so many new terms. We're gonna learn about user interfaces. What are those different things, called on the user interface? Everything has a very specific name. Everything has a very specific placement on the user interface, right? So these are UI elements, these elements that we see on the screen, but perhaps this user interface, right, has a mobile design pattern. So like a login screen would have a specific mobile design pattern, so that when you look at a login screen, it's a specific pattern, it's a specific design pattern, so you know exactly what to do. And so we're going to be learning all of that in the very beginning of the course. And then in the middle of the course, you guys are going to be, like I said, ideating your own idea. And then you guys are going to be wireframing and prototyping. is where the class really kind of, it all comes together. So let me know if you have any questions about user-centered design, and have a wonderful day. Aloha.